Hello everyone and welcome to Theola Gaming. And today we are discussing the Bible and beer and the reflection on current media culture and everyone yelling at each other. Because that's what happened this week in Australia. So does someone want to give us an overview of the controversy around Cooper's beer and Bible verses and gay marriage and how those three things intersect?
I thought you'd never ask. um, yeah, so basically, in Australia, we love beer a lot, and so this the Bible Society, one of the oldest charities in Australia, decided it was going to celebrate the fact that it had turned 200 years old by releasing a limited edition beer with the brewery Coopers. And it seemed like a really good plan because Australians love beer. What better way to raise awareness of your charity than by putting it on beer? Anyway, it went catastrophically wrong because Christian charity, beer company, a lot of Christians not fans of alcohol apparently, and so there was a big backlash from the Christian community saying if you get a beer company to support you, then you're basically you even Christians. Like, how can you? Pretty hectic. Like, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting view. It's an interesting view. But there was that, and then secondly, there were a whole bunch of people who are big fans of beer, being Australians, but not big fans of religion. I mean, being Australians. So you've got these anti-religious beer enthusiasts who are like, what is this beer company that I love doing promoting this religion that I can't get far enough away from? So there was a big outrage over that. How dare they? So what they've done is they've put Bible verses on the side of some of their cartons, and they've put information about the Bible Society on the side of the cans. And people are going, what the heck is this? And apparently companies have boycotted it. And it's interesting that side of it as well. And then what the Bible Society has done is they've released a video called "Keeping It Light." Well, it was meant to be, I think, the first part of a video series, which I don't think is going to be continuing based on the reception that the first parts had. But basically, it was a video clip of a conversation between two members of Parliament. One who is a supporter of marriage equality and one who is a supporter of keeping it the same as it's always been. And the two of them sit down and have a conversation on the subject while drinking Cooper's beer. I haven't actually seen the video myself, but that's just what I know of it. So is that. And that apparently outraged a lot of people because they were going, well, this is not taking a serious issue seriously enough. And so somehow that turned into Cooper's beer are evil and homophobic and are supporting people who are against marriage equality. Make of that what you will. That seems to have been the response. And so there's been a lot of people on pretty much every conceivable demographic who could have been, targeted in any way by this campaign has responded negatively, overwhelmingly negatively to it, which has been really interesting. Because for me, I'm a big fan of the Bible, and I'm a big fan of beer, and I'm a big fan of good conversations, and I'm a big fan of marriage equality, and for me, this is all good, but apparently for everybody else, it is literally the worst thing. So that's it in a nutshell. And the consequence of all of that has been that after a few days of people bombarding their page with one-star reviews, having not actually seen the thing they're complaining about, Cooper's Beer has issued an apology for the fact that the Bible Society video was made, and has said they're going to cancel their promotional deal with them. And so make of that what you will. That's the situation as it stands at the moment, and that's Australia for you.
Yeah, literally nothing else has happened in Australia. This is the only thing of note that's happened.
I mean,
I think
James
the
traffic
Liberals lost
lights.
an election, Less important. Less important.
Yeah. So, how does everyone feel about the whole Coopers thing and yeah, boycotting brands in general?
I think it's definitely they've overblown. Like, a lot of parties think they've overblown the issue, but it was kind of a really dumb thing to do. Like the advertisement, I think, was kind of asking. That's not asking for it. That's not a good way to say it. It was overly risky, given they kind of knew what happens on social media when you talk about that issue. Like, okay, yep, this is going to end well for you. And there's more tactful ways of doing. I think they were going for maybe not for a shock factor, but for a very contentious issue to start conversation to promote their name or something. So their intentions were that, but they probably didn't understand the audience they were talking to, which Joel very well, I think, explained the various audiences that reacted to it. I personally myself, I think it is kind of dumb for a Christian, for a Bible organization to put the names on a beer. That's kind of
no, fam. Jesus made alcohol. It's all good.
Yeah, I could go into that for a bit, but
that's my king.
Like, you know, given all the issues we have with alcohol and the fact that our verses say to be committed to strong drink, I know partaking of in moderation and committing to are different things, but
what?
Like, considering at least in the Christian sense, alcohol being a known stumbling block, a major one at that, they addressed specifically in the Bible as a stumbling block. Probably not the best to tack Bible verses onto, just from the outset, let alone the advertisement.
No, I reckon it's a brilliant thing to tack Bible verses onto. I reckon, like, Proverbs 31, verse 7 and 8 would be really good on the side of a beer can.
For context, what does Proverbs...
So Proverbs 31, 7 and 8 goes something along the lines of, give strong drink to people who are suffering so that they can drink and forget their problems.
I mean, I think part of this is... Sorry, go on, Joel.
In the broader context, it's the advice of the king's mother to the king. The king's mother tells him, you shouldn't drink because you're the king. You need to make the right decisions, and if your mind gets messed up by alcohol, you won't be able to govern responsibly. But the poor people in your kingdom who have a hard life, alcohol is good for them because it helps them stay happy even though their life sucks.
Isn't that kind of enabling alcoholism in a way?
Also, is it slightly classist?
It's worth noting that at the time, alcoholism would have been harder due to very high costs of alcohol and very low strength of alcohol. Still very much possible and a thing, but it was a different scene to today.
Yeah.
Alcohol percentages were like wine being the most common one because wine is a lot of modern ones are more fortified with a higher alcohol content than maybe what we think they had back then in general. So getting absolutely wasted is a bit more common nowadays, or a bit easier, a bit more accessible nowadays.
And outside of Western Europe,
is constantly wasted in Game of Thrones. How do we explain that?
Game of Thrones also has dragons.
Dragons.
I'm not seeing the problem, Jesse.
Checkmate.
But alcohol was also normally drunk, diluted with water in basically everywhere that wasn't Northern and Western Europe. But anyway, like...
basically when Jesus turns water into wine, he's turning water into grape juice like a good Baptist.
I'm happy with that one.
Yeah, good.
Like, when I first heard, I saw the post, like, Cooper's Beer teams up with Bible Society to put Bible things on weekends. I was like, really? Is this something we should be doing?
Yeah.
But it does... I don't know, it makes a lot of sense.
All I ask is a moment of your time.
it is a way to... It's a way that a lot of people will see it, and as much as I loathe alcohol personally, it's not specifically unbiblical, and it's not... it's something that can be used decently, and is not always a problem.
I'm coming up.
So it's a decent way to advertise. It's a decent way to get good messages from the Bible out to a lot of people, including a lot of people who could really use Bible verses. And probably couldn't really use the alcohol.
Yeah. Like Proverbs 31.
I just think
someone who's like, oh, I'm afraid of anything. Someone who's like having a crap day gets a carton of beer with like, oh, drink to forget your problems. That's in the Bible. Like, okay, thank you, Jesus. I'll go and beat my addiction. Maybe not the most constructive thing.
Do we actually know what was... Like, I never saw anywhere that said what verses were put on the beer.
The
world's moved on, boy.
As a medium to put verses on, I still think it's really dumb. Like, what's next? We're gonna have gambling machines and pokies with Bible verses on the side labeled. Like, really, come on. I know it's not intrinsically evil, but it's a major stumbling block. There's a lot of issues. Do we really, really, really want to use that?
I think it's different because there's a strong basis in the Bible for drinking alcohol. And the owners of the company were Christians. I mean, still are Christians. They've had a history of supporting a whole bunch of different Christian things. The family that owns Cooper's Christian family, and so for them to put Bible verses on the side of their product, they're probably thinking, "This is not a bad thing." You know, if I was making beer, you know, I would think.
I guess.
Putting Bible verses on my product, it's not making my product worse.
It's true, but I guess there's a difference between a bad thing and an unhelpful thing. I don't think what they're doing is intrinsically sinful, or evil or anything like that. I just think I don't see how it's helpful in the sense of the Bible, but in sense of spreading the gospel or explaining to the public, or I guess sharing the Bible with the public. I don't see how it helps in that.
Say we didn't warn you.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's because I'm also not a big fan of alcohol, personally.
So I mean, it's the problem in the sense more any association or making the association between alcohol and Christianity rather than what the verses themselves have to say. Just the association that kind of comes as an endorsement in certain ways of looking at it.
One interesting aspect of the whole thing is they choose to do the promotion with a light beer as a way of sort of encouraging people to drink a beer that is perhaps lower in alcohol content, so as to promote, you know, it's okay to drink, but as long as it's in, so they've gone, you know, oh, let's put Bible verses on all of absinthe.
I think the other thing that's good about it too is, like I said before, it's a medium that will reach a lot of people here in Australia because alcohol is our thing for worse normally. But it's also that's putting Bible verses in a spot where a lot of people will see them at times when they really need some sort of encouragement or support. Like, alcohol is something that people who are struggling will turn to. And if they see a Bible verse on the can that they're talking, they might start thinking about that instead of thinking about more cans. Like that
so
can have possibly.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
The photo I've been able to find is of a carton of Cooper's Light. It says Cooper's Premium Light. It has
Sorry.
Whoever lives by the truth comes into the light.
Wow.
Very happy.
That context, bro.
My name is
like, okay, so this is almost a separate issue, but the cringe factor, I'm against this product now. Like,
see, I want to go out and buy a carton of this stuff before it goes off the shelves because apparently they've cancelled them now, and
what it is.
It'd probably get valuable. I was thinking that now. This has
Yeah.
been a run of like
And
a
yet,
couple thousand cans, maybe?
the spirit said
Oh,
that
10,000
Yeah.
cartons.
spirits
So 250,000 cans.
have been harassing the
Okay, probably a bit less
assassins
valuable.
for centuries. Ever since
Yeah.
Ezio
But anyway,
uncooked
I was thinking before,
but you don't even
oh, maybe
know
they
what
put John
assassin
3:16 on it.
is.
Then I realized, hang on, that's a really terrible verse. I really hope they didn't.
They're settled
A
in
Bible,
Britain,
a beer
but
can
they're
with "I am the
still
way,
alive.
the truth, and
It's
the
gonna
life.
take a while to
None
get
can
it
come
all.
to the Father but through me."
I mean-
this is kind of why I think it's not a good medium. Okay, like, yeah, I just don't think this is a good medium because it's like the context for which you would bargain for wouldn't necessarily be the same context that you would, even if you had Bible verse on it, you would even read or pay any
And I
attention
will
to it.
stop them.
Like, if it's just a casual barbecue, people wouldn't even care. Like, the people don't even read. They look at what color tin it is and go for it. Like, you know, what other messages, labels, and slogans on the side. Even secular slogans, people don't even read. So a verse, I don't
don't you
think is
repair
like
it?
you don't pick up a can and
What's the
study
point?
the words. that are
Excuse
on
me,
it.
mate.
Besides, I don't
I
have
know
material
for a
for
fact
the
that
job.
Great Northern is the beer from up here.
So why then?
As a counterpoint, there is a chocolate called I think Barchies, and they have like lovey-dovey
Look at me.
like slogans on
Think I can just march
little
into
bits of
some
paper
Chocolate kisses.
wrapped in the
full of
foil
pounds
of the
and go
chocolate.
shopping?
Just eat the
Yes.
chocolate and
Why
throw the
not?
rest out. I mean,
So naive.
don't
Well,
read it.
I think that the interesting thing about the bachi is like it's almost like a known thing with that particular item of food. Like people like a can is a cylindrical object which so many different manufacturers have. They maybe have their own slogans too. If you look back, there's heaps of ones. I mean, there's been heaps of different special runs as well. When State of Origin, they had like the 5X1 for the 5th State of Origin, went for Queensland. Heaps of different ones they've done slogans for, but like, I don't think as a medium for a Bible verse, it's gonna.
No, see, I'm going to argue against this based on my experience of I drank a can of Cooper's beer for the first time earlier last week before this whole media thing blew up, and I can tell you, I remember that can had Australian branding on it, and there were some tennis facts on the side. And I don't remember what the tennis facts were, but I remember that was the branding on the can, and like I
Very well.
feel as though the can itself was branded differently
Then we'll know if you've the
of
right
colour and design. That stood out to me, and no, I don't care about tennis.
So, would it be different if it wasn't, say, advertised directly on the can? Say maybe it was on the carton itself for, you got a piece, like a piece of card when you purchased the beer and it had the Bible slogans on it, like something less
Yeah, well-
affiliated with the actual beverage container itself.
Yeah, the interesting thing is the way they did it was on the cartons they had the Bible verses. So it's on the carton they've got into the
okay.
light or whatever it is, and then on the side of the can it's just got some information about congratulations to the Bible Society, Australia's oldest charity, on their 200th anniversary. So it's it's
That's
still
so
talking
tacky.
about the Bible Society, but it's not as well. It's not the exact wording of it. It's better than that. The point was they were just like it's a commemorative thing, and they've done it for
Like
other
commemorating-
organisations before.
Like commemorating 200 years, that's fine. That's fine. But then using a verse with a pun for light is so tacky. Like that is.
That's
really
on
tacky.
the
Come on.
Puns
carton
are
though. Like
amazing.
yes, I love it.
I have seen what is to come if they succeed. They have to
Eh,
die, don't they?
I don't know. I think when you're
All of them.
like using an out of context double meaning, like
Especially your
on
father.
of a Bible verse, I
He's
just
the
find
one
that to be
holding the
just a bit
whole
tacky and at least at some level disrespectful. I don't know. I just find like to commemorate 200 years of a society, fine, go for it, I don't care. Like, but it's just. I don't know. I just feel like I just have a certain reverence for the verses of the Bible. That I just don't think that's a great idea.
Yeah, okay. I'm a
So
big
I
fan of like tacky Bible puns and putting them in awkward places. So I don't know. Depends on the person. You are
That's
not
right,
the
yeah.
target market, I suspect.
No, no. Well, I'm probably the case study that marketers just go, yeah, that guy's an engineer. He doesn't really care what we say. He goes to spec sheets every day. It's like, let's ignore this. We don't market for that guy.
We don't market for that guy. He'll drink anything anyway. He's an engineer.
I'll drink
So
any
I'm
of
imagining
water.
it like a play, a short play now. It's Jay-Z goes to the bar to get a beer. Hey, do you have the spec sheet for this, mate?
I don't drink
Bartender
water, so
pulls
it's
out
pretty
the
easy.
pulls out the book, and it's got the sheets of how all the different beers were brewed, the ingredients in very thorough like percentages, and he leafs through it, and then he picks his beer, and then he drinks it, and then that's the end of the play.
And then I get water on the rocks. Like, no, I actually don't drink any alcohol. I only drink water, and that's it. And once a month, I have a shot of grape juice.
Oh my goodness.
To you as well.
You're off the chain, mate.
Yeah, once a month, I have a shot of grape juice.
I've decided to
Yeah, I know, right?
and you're going to get it.
For context, I also don't
yeah,
drink.
I also don't really drink, so
I drink socially.
I only drink the beer from up here.
I mean, we sort of succeeded in the diversity for this episode, right? We've got like some beer drinkers and some non-beer drinkers.
We've probably got
Yeah.
a surprisingly high percentage of non-beer drinkers compared to general
Yes.
population.
Not a statistically representative sample of Australians.
Yeah, Theologaming. Technical difficulties and mostly not intoxicated.
This place,
Yeah.
the people, the
Apparently, alcohol intake has decreased over the past decade.
I thought the same.
So maybe we are like trending towards the norm.
I mean,
Well, intake has decreased, but
Liverpool's
intake
awesome.
at one time has really increased. So like binge drinking is now a much bigger thing, even though people
Oh,
drink
really?
less. Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yep.
That was like mainly like an American problem, binge drinking. Doesn't
Oh,
well,
it's a
I've
problem
seen
in
like lots
Australia
of
too,
Facebook
but-
videos like no, but like
Did you live in
see
college?
all the videos like frat parties where like you gotta like down a keg or some stupid thing like that.
Yeah, that's pretty Australian as well, though. Like, not the specifically those parties, but like, that's just a thing.
More
Have you
good
been
banks
to
over here, right?
university?
Yes. Not to those kinds of parties.
Spanish or Italian.
College. College. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm.
Both are better still than I.
That is not true.
So what do we think of the
What is
Bible Society's
What would you call me then?
mini-series then?
Connor?
You mean
Try
the
to-
one
The
episode?
one episode.
Yeah. Taking it light, I think,
it's
was
gonna
what
stay
they
one
called it.
episode.
Off you go.
The very mini series.
Like, I think it was a
The
really weird...
intent-
First off, I think it was a weird choice, because as far as I know, they're not actually a political... They don't get involved in politics or anything. At least from what
Yeah.
I've read. Unlike, like, a lot of Christian groups, they're specifically focused on, I think they distribute Bibles. I think that's basically their thing.
Yep,
Um,
that is their thing.
But then, all of a sudden, they come out with this idea to do a mini series on gay marriage with two politicians talking over beer. Like,
I
that, you
think their
needed a bit
intent
more
was-
vetting, I think.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of
I
issues
think,
with that.
I think
Two liberal politicians, mind. They didn't even get a liberal and a Labour guy.
Two male liberal politicians.
I think that's
Yeah,
also one of the
well.
reasons why people are like boycotting because they're not fans of the Liberal Party.
either way, I think it would have ended up badly. I mean, the Liberal Party didn't help matters, but I think the intent of it was probably thought of rather quickly. Had 3 or 4 people, maybe not many more, go, yeah, this should be right. This sounds like a great idea. Go and film the thing in an Arvo, and put it up and just go, wait a second, did we think about this? No.
Can confirm from my knowledge of the creative industries, that's probably exactly what happened. Like,
even the time frame, that probably is what happened. Because like the beer thing only happened a couple of days ago, and within like a day, that video was out. So it was probably way too rushed.
What I'm very interested in is that the Liberal MPs agreed to it. Like, I would have thought they would think, hang on a second.
They're out of touch, they're Liberal MPs. What do you expect?
I mean, it's not surprising for them.
Either, but
like, really, the only one here sort of hurt by this has been the Cooper's beer, because though not having anything to do with the video, at least according to them, which I see no reason to disbelieve,
I should return to
they've
Achilles.
copped all the flack for this because they're associated with this like homophobic Christian group, and these liberal politicians, they're the beer of the right wing, they're going to turn us all into Nazis, let's boycott them. Like,
yeah.
What?
I just added the Nazis bit for added effect.
Part of the problem, but like that.
Yeah, that escalated.
You added for effect.
It's the internet. It probably happened.
The comments on their Facebook page. That's what's happening. It's been flooded with 1-star reviews. I looked at it yesterday. I don't know if it's changed today. But there's like, I think something like 3,000 reviews total on their Facebook page. And of those 3,000, 2/3 are 1-star reviews posted in the last 48 hours from people who are going, these guys support homophobia and are evil.
And the sad part about all this is that video was 7 minutes and it was hard to find. Like, I don't think any of us sort of were able to really find it easily.
Well,
yeah, neither were the 2,000 people.
And
left
it's a
negative
7-minute
reviews on the
video.
page.
Very few people actually watch those videos that long, which bodes well for our
It was
podcast.
one of those controversies that I just kind of saw kind of happen, but I didn't look into it. It didn't actually seem that interesting. And I only watched the video because we had the discussion tonight.
True. But it's one of the things that you want to scroll past. It's like, that guy did a dumb thing. That guy did a dumb thing. It's like, scroll past. Like, it's like, oh, people blowing up about so-and-so, about the color of the curtains in some famous person's house. Like, who cares? But it turns out that a lot of people are really angry about this one. And, but I say a lot, like 2,000 people is about 1/10,000th of the population of Australia. So it's actually not the, like, nationwide effect that people think it is.
So, I mean, if
It's like,
to summarize, I guess the point of I assume their intended point of the video. The intended point of the video was that we can have a civil discussion without the need to resort to raised voices or name calling. Correct?
Isn't irony beautiful?
And the internet turned around and went, "No, we effing can't."
And the thing is, at least from what I see in the video, from my perspective, it seems to be pretty balanced to both sides of the same-sex marriage debate, in that it's not pro or against internet. It says, let's have a platform, big from, that is, well, not being a platform, just have like civil discussion on stuff. Now, that, like, the irony, like I just said, the irony is just, I think the irony is actually kind of sad, because it means that as soon as someone mentions anything to do with anything on the issue involving same-sex marriage, it's automatically get the knives, pitchforks, and set them on fire and start stabbing people before even actually listening to what the context it was spoken about. It, like, the video didn't even talk about, didn't actually show any part of the debate. It just said, let's have a discussion peacefully. Didn't even actually go into any of the points in the debate. Like I have a viewpoint of this, the other guy's got a viewpoint of that, and that's it. It didn't even go into anything. So, like, I think it's really kind of sad that that's the reaction to wanting to even just talking about civil discussion.
I mean, if I were to, I mean, I joked earlier about, you know, us having a diversity of people who drink varying amounts, but I don't think to my knowledge, we don't have anyone here who, I guess, identifies as LGBT. That came out terribly. LGBT plus.
They're the second generation.
And if I were to, I guess, guess at what the concern was with the video, it wasn't so much civil discussion in itself. It was people feeling that the need for a debate or civil discussion about things that they feel are rights, for better or worse, is somewhat dehumanizing to them. I'm guessing that's what the concern is with the video. I mean, anyone feel free to comment on that. I mean, that's just my...
There may be an aspect of that. There may be an aspect of, because this video seems like it's okay to be against same-sex marriage and not be starred and set on fire, therefore you're supporting people being okay with same-sex marriage being illegal. That's maybe a viewpoint that the video came across as.
Yeah, it's probably what I'd expect too. Yeah, we've heard like every second syllable there.
Yeah, you might want to say that again, Joel.
I'm gonna wait till this gets...
User in your channel timed out.
Okay,
well, he's gone.
User entered your channel.
Alright, sounds like he's back. But yeah, I'd...
Want to try that again, Joel?
Like, what you're saying is quite reasonable, Adam, but I think it's probably more... people don't like that there can be a contrary viewpoint to this. Because that's something people don't tend to like at all these days. But especially on an issue like gay marriage, where people feel that it should be a human right. And therefore even holding the opinion that they can't is as bad as holding the opinion that, say, black people should not be slaves and so forth, and so it shouldn't even be given airtime. That's often what these debates tend to come down to. And like we see similar things, often rightly so, in terms of like anti-vaccine, global warming, that sort of thing, where people just don't like anyone holding contrary viewpoints. But I don't know. Probably can't get much further into that without actually going into homosexual marriage episode territory.
Not quite.
To be made about the gay marriage specifically. It's fair to say, yeah, a lot of the opposition has been a problem with the fact that the people conform to theirs. That's definitely my reading. And that's it seems to be reflected in a lot of the current politics. Like people are this is taken that it's used right at the time the
So we do continue to be seeming to have issues with whatever Joel is saying.
Yeah.
I guess we can consider this the his voice being censored for that matter.
Yeah, you think beer is good, we censor you. Heretic.
I mean, it sounds like a really good point, what he's making. But
yeah, the snippets we heard sounded good. It's just a shame they were snippets. Yeah, anyway. So, Jesse, any other points on that one? I don't really have any. Like, my conclusion and takeaway would be well overblown, incredibly ironic, kind of sad, and probably just a bad move on the Bible Society's part to begin with. Well,
Can I say that I think boycotting brands is not overblown. I think it's a relatively I boycott brands for similar reasons, mainly for like environmental reasons or, you know, animal welfare reasons, but I don't think boycotting brands is like a bad move.
I think there's good reasons to boycott brands, but boycotting brands for a video they had no part in, done by an organization outside themselves.
Yeah, well, Coopers did apologize, which I think is a good move.
Yeah, well, boycotting anything is a large step to take. This action probably didn't warrant that large step to take. Many other things do, and honestly, if you felt so strongly about this issue, maybe it does for you personally, but like for various people involved, I guess. But like a boycotting thing is a very valid thing to do. But it's usually a large step to take.
Well, not necessarily. But you consider that you're choosing what to spend your money on, and you're just choosing to put your money elsewhere. That's a comparatively minor decision. I mean, everyone will have their own threshold for what they choose to disavow a particular brand, but you know, choosing to say, "Oh, I'm not going to buy this peanut butter anymore because I found half a rat in it." I mean, that's not necessarily boycotting brand, it's just taking your money elsewhere.
Better boycott that peanut butter. It's contributing to extinction.
Yeah. So just quickly,
no peanut butter rats.
Yeah, just reading what Joel's saying in chat, because he's typing it out so we can read it clearly. So early on, just mentioned when he's so convinced that our side is right, it can be taken for granted, and the other side shouldn't get a say. It's just kind of a thing in politics at the moment that seems to be quite a common theme. So, yeah, just like the way I see it, I actually agree with Joel on that one. It seems like a lot of political issues right now that some people have a stance on it, and it's good to have a stance. It's great to have a stance, but coming into any discussion or any receiving of news or watching a debate or watching Q&A or wherever it is, with the pitchforks out, ready to silence any voice from an opposing view that is made respectfully. That's the disclaimer there for various reasons. Yeah, I think that's like I've taken the last couple of years. That's been almost the default way to approaching any opposition on a viewpoint. And what it does is people stop listening to what is actually being said and attacking what the general opposing view is. So you get basically null discussions. You get like these discussions happen between these two parties where they're attacking the stereotypical viewpoint rather than what's actually being discussed.
I mean, I will make the point here that I think there are cases where things can be framed as a valid debate or controversy when there is in fact none. To pick a comparatively trite example, you know, being the world is, say, flat. I mean, you don't necessarily need to grant airtime or respect to the idea here specifically. I'm not going to say the person, because you should respect people, but you don't necessarily need to, you know, agree to set up debates or give a platform to people that are, you know, holding views that are fundamentally, observably false. I'm just using this as an example, as one that's quite demonstrably wrong. Obviously, such a situation lacks the nuance that this situation has, but it's not. In all cases, it's not. Both sides don't necessarily have the same degree of merit, if that makes sense.
Right, but the thing is, at the moment, the even I guess legislative, but also the scientific community's stance and research and papers and all that understanding is that the Earth is round. At the moment, the current law in Australia is one man, one woman marriage. So because you know what I'm saying, like this, the flat Earth, round Earth thing has come and gone, and that's been resolved, and now that's over.
Hey, I have a
Really.
random question about the whole marriage act. One man, one woman. Is that referring to the sex or the gender of the people involved?
Biological gender, whatever the biological one.
Sex.
3
Sex.
X chromosomes and a Y.
That could be interesting.
Like, it was written in the 18th century or whenever. It's not going to even have that concept in it, which is like 10 years old or something.
Honestly,
Apparently,
I actually haven't read
this
it.
is- Oh no, go.
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually haven't read the Marriage Act word for word. So I actually don't know the exact wording of it, but it's obviously in such a way that it is how it is today.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's another whole episode of itself, isn't it? That we haven't yet done.
We don't want to get too deep into this at the moment.
But I mean, my point,
No.
my point with respect to the whole flat Earth thing wasn't to. It was just to make the point that there can be situations that's obviously at the very far extreme end where it's so clear cut, and framing it as a debate does a disservice to what's actually known. In this case, there's a lot more nuance and perspective involved.
Yeah,
To clarify.
and that will go for basically any other viewpoint. That was a good contrite example, but the trouble is you start extrapolating that, and all of a sudden even things that it applies to, such as vaccination, can get kind of messy because there's a lot of people out there who have various, not like scientific, but emotional reasons for being against vaccination and
Yes.
so forth. So do you cut off all dialogue because it's irrational, or do you keep that dialogue open to try and sway people around?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're obviously not necessarily. You're not going to convince very many people if you immediately slam a door in their face and suggest they're dumb.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, more about the framing of the situation. Empathy is always important.
You also start creating a very us versus them culture, and you end up with situations like the massive backlash against political correctness and so forth in the US.
I
And
don't think it's solely isolated
everything.
to the US, but the US is a particularly
They're a prime
recent
example at the moment,
example.
with like Trump being, a lot of his campaign even being built on that sort of idea. These West Coast
And
liberal
Brexit.
media keep calling us wrong for saying these things and having these ideas and not even giving us airtime, so let's tear them down. I'm going to give you guys a voice. And people laughed it up.
Hmm.
Cool.
Alright, I think we've got an
Right.
episode.
Well, Joel continues to have some things to say in the chat about the Marriage Act.
Cool.
He says, the way the Marriage Act works is the sex of the parties is like what their birth certificate or whatever says. So if you officially change your sex, you can't marry someone of the sex you change it to, which has fucked up consequences for some people, like married hetero couples where one partner comes out as trans. And then they have to divorce if the trans partner wants to officially change their sex. That's what Joel has said. To use my voice, because his voice does not come through. Which is possibly an interesting metaphor.
It's just so weird that, like,
Again?
So is that all you, is there anything else, anywhere else we can go with the topic?
I don't think so. Unless anyone else
I mean,
has
Reggie
ideas.
briefly touched on boycotting brands, which is a potential avenue for further discussion. But if not, we do seem to have covered the actual controversy I think reasonably thoroughly.
Yeah, and we got a good 50 minutes, so I think it's probably best to cut it there.
Cool.
Alright,
Very well done.
see you
Good
later,
work.
everyone.
Final thought while I
See you around.
look.
Goodbye. Maybe next time Jesse will introduce us when we start the podcast.
Oh yeah, I forgot that time.
I was waiting to see when you notice.
I was too busy
So, yeah.
showing everyone the glitches in Assassin's Creed.
Which will come at with absolutely no context to people who have been listening solely via the audio.
They probably
Sorry,
will,
as
because
opposed
my
to
balance
listening
wasn't
via a
quite up.
visual medium?
So they'll hear like random voices in the back that aren't any of us talking
We're
about
definitely
stuff.
off
Just, I think that's just Joel's mic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. We're off air now, though, right?
Final thoughts for Joel. Drink beer, love Jesus, stuff the haters. That's not a Bible verse, is it?
No.
Okay,
No.
just checking.
Ah, Connor.
They wrote that in like ancient Hebrew.
I'd like you to meet Cyrus.
What is like the latest revision of the Bible? 'Cause that's gone through like multiple revisions, hasn't it?
Peace.
Not really, it's more like
For the right price, he will.
translations.
Translations.
So
Yeah, it's different.
it's just updating the languages. Sometimes, like, there's a bunch of English translations, each going for a different way, sort of way of saying it. Like, some go for a more literal to the ancient Greek and Hebrew scriptures, like the original versions, which can make it harder to read in modern English. And then you've got other versions that will try to simplify that down to make it make more sense reading it in English, but makes it less literal. So you've got that sort of balancing act there.
Still one last bit of work to do.
And a lot of how it tends to work is we keep going older, like as archaeology finds better and better manuscripts of like original manuscripts. We're down to we've got a pretty good, the Dead Sea Scrolls are a pretty good Old Testament manuscript. We've got basically the entire first 2/3 of the Bible reliably confirmed to have been unchanged for nearly 1,000 years, like from their
That's
period.
impressive,
So like
actually.
1000 BC. Still about 500 years beyond the writing of a couple of important books, but still. And then the New Testament, we're up to about 200 years past the writing. I think our earliest are from around the 300s to 200s AD. Like, probably more closer to 300 than that. We've got manuscripts close there, but we've got snippets of earlier ones that show they've also not changed a whole lot. Like, there's still
Well,
issues
it's
with
interesting.
translating and recreating the languages there. It's not as if just having the script makes it immediately that we know this is reliable, because we still don't always fully know what the author intended, what this concept and word meant to the ancient world it was written in, being so far removed in time, and stuff like that. But in terms of
It's like,
the scripts saying what they say, it's pretty reliable on that. All the scribal editions and various other things have been pretty weeded out.
That's cool.
yeah, and the funny thing, well, cool thing about some of the New Testament stuff, the reason it is like 100 or 200 years later that we have early manuscripts on, the originals were, and a lot of the early transcripts were read a lot. So they're like working documents, or documents used in the life of the church in a very functional sense. So like most businesses nowadays, or even, you know, a lot of public documents, if the actual piece of paper that actually gets read out or so on is often whatever. So, you know, because they used practically in the operations of the church and read for many different purposes. The main one being encouragement, exhortation, all sorts of cool stuff.
Really, the
That's
main one
the
was
main
yelling
reason
at
that-
them, telling them to get back on track. It's probably more of that than the encouraging.
Yeah, a bit of rebuking as well. So it's exhortation, rebuking, all that sort of good stuff. Anyway, yeah, so like when you think about the actual piece of paper that Paul himself wrote on, or you know, Matthew or whoever wrote on, isn't going to be around at all because of, yeah, it can't make sense. But yeah, like it's actually impressive how much of the modern day Bible has been
Retained.
retained, yeah. And at least theologically speaking, when read contextually, it is consistent.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I don't know what else to say. That's cool. I haven't really read any religious texts. I feel like I should educate myself and try to read some, at least maybe some Buddhist ones.
So a funny side thing, and I actually did scouts in late primary school, and yeah, you can laugh if you want, but there's
I did scouts.
Now
I was
scouts
just
is
laugh at.
cool. You guys like
Yeah.
learn knots and survival things. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, well, there was that too. There was a lot of it, and I really enjoyed it. I still use some of that stuff I learned, and there were various Scoutcraft badges and so on. But there were 6 special ones, and one of them was a religious one, and I just went through and got it. But the thing is, you had to, as part of that, you had to study other religions. So you had to study at least get the, like, talk to people in the community of other religions. So one of them was Hindu, and another one was, I think, Buddhist. That was really interesting. That was actually really interesting. And I actually also read a book about Jehovah's Witnesses, but that was in high school because one of my best mates was Jehovah. And I gave his book back to him. But anyway, like, it's actually really, really, it helps your perspective of your own faith when you read another one, or when you read a different faith, because it actually kind of helps understand why you believe things the way you do, but also, and this is kind of this is my personal experience. The God of the Christian Bible is unique in his selflessness to the people, and that's really, really cool to see. That's, like, no matter how many I look at, that's still unique in its completeness. But yeah. I've also read a bit of the Quran, but technically I haven't, because I read the English translation of the Quran, which is kind of a bad thing. I should actually learn the language to read it properly.
What, Arabic?
Arabic, yes. Well, Arabic. I should.
Wait, learn Arabic with me, Jacob. Sorry, this is probably out of place on the podcast, but...
I mean, all this, I'll put all this in as like an appendix. I'll just cut it previously to when we go off
Arabic
into
is
this topic.
tough.
It is.
I learned
I've been
the
toying with it a little
numbers
bit.
when I was in Egypt, but like, apparently it's like Chinese where you have very specific sounds and intonations. It sounds like it's really hard to learn.
The worst part about it is there's so many vowels. There's like 3 variants of A, 2 of E, a couple more.
Well, that's like a lot of the European languages. So I'm learning Portuguese, and I screw up my vowels because there's like the open vowel and the closed vowel, and I'm just like and apparently there's like a difference between those two that I can barely pick up. And
English
my
has so
partner.
many vowels. Like, English has a lot of vowels. I mean, we have 5 written vowels, but we have like 30 pronounced vowels. Think about
Yeah, it's
it.
really ambiguous, which makes it hard for non-English speakers to learn English because they're like, how do I pronounce this word? Is it an open A or is it a closed A, or is this I actually E?
What do you mean? Red versus
Having
red
learned-
is entirely transparent.
And lead and lead.
Like, I
yeah,
haven't learnt. Yeah, exactly. And lead.
lead.
and
That's
lead.
the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, learning
Well,
English.
well, you have-
I mean, learning other languages does really make you wish English had some of those rules. Like, most other languages are, sure, they got a bunch of different letters and stuff, but those letters always sound the same, or they very rarely change with pairs. They generally only have, they don't have a whole bunch of loan words like English does that follow completely different rules, and they have a plural for you that's not you,
Ugh.
which is really nice.
Yeah.
No, if
No,
you
to
lot,
be honest,
if
I'm-
you lot.
I'm pretty thankful that not everything in English has to be gendered.
Yeah, no, that's
Well-
good.
Did I say pretty honest? I'm pretty glad. Not pretty
Pretty
honest. I mean, I am
Well,
honest
okay.
about it, but I'm also glad.
Gendered's
which is my
not that-
primary emotion.
Like, it's not that hard, it's basically just one word will sound one way, the other word will sound the other way. It does get a bit mixed up with the, like, articles and stuff, like the equivalents to the, because they often have to follow the gender, but generally it's just, does this word end in an A or does it end in an O?
Yeah.
So
One
you
thing I
get
hate
it pretty
about-
quick.
That's Italian. That's Italian.
No, it's most of the
Yeah.
European languages in general.
know
It's
it's
like German,
Italian.
Italian, French, Portuguese. One thing I really hate is like if you have a group of people and they're all females, it's the female plural. If there's one dude, it's the male plural.
Mhm.
That's how it is in most European
That's
languages.
Portuguese.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure.
in English,
Italian.
if it's a group of all females, it's still the male plural. Come on, guys. Let's.
Let's do
Yeah,
that.
Guys isn't
Folk.
even really gendered anymore.
It is
Oh,
totally
it's both.
gendered. I will argue
No,
this with you at another time, not on the podcast.
Let's
We're
devote an
still
episode
recording.
entirely to that.
Like guys, dudes, these are gendered words. The fact that we treat them as if they're not doesn't change the fact that they are. You wouldn't say "Hey girls" to a room full of men, but you would say "Hey guys" to a room full of
I
girls.
don't know, have you been around fat boys?
Okay.
I
hang
don't
on,
want
what's
to
your-
be.
What's the opposite of guy?
Dudette.
gal.
Well, no.
Do
The
that.
thing. The thing is that if you say gal, okay, fair enough. If you say girl, it's boys and girls. They're opposites. Guys is the non-descriptive other. It's like, as in, it's like a plural. That isn't necessarily gendered.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
It's
it,
people want it to be
it
gendered.
leans male. Like, it's either male or both, but it leans male.
And
That's
it
definitely
definitely,
male.
like, it inarguably started as being male. Like, my point of view is that by this point, it's a neutral gendered sort of word, like child or
Well,
children. Because,
yeah,
like,
well,
girls
so
will use
when-
it as well, but
Back in the day,
I can
when,
see why
when
people have
youth
problems
groups
about
would
it.
Go on, when youth groups would go on guys' camp, you wouldn't have girls along on guys' camp because guys'
That's a good
camp
point.
was for guys.
yeah, because
Guy is
Christians
not-
are the apex of gender integration.
It's true. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I honestly have tended to start using you lot because you lot cannot be wrong. It's you lot.
Fam is.
I feel
is
like
the
you lot
gender
sounds
neutral
accusative
plural.
though. It sounds like you're accusing someone.
And it's
Yeah.
two
Fam-
words.
fam
Who
is
says
just-
that?
But I mean, it depends what
Use,
you're. I mean,
okay.
it depends on the situation. If, like, you lot want dinner. I mean, what are you accusing them of?
Also, y'all is real good.
You guys want to eat? How dare you?
I mean,
So-
the other way is just saying use, but use will get you slapped by everyone.
No, use is
Alternatively,
bad.
folk.
Use.
I mean, folk.
I
is-
deliberately
folks
say
is
it all the
good.
time.
Folks is good. Folks is good. Use is crap, but y'all is great. Fam is
I love
brilliant.
y'all.
No, y'all's American. We can't have that. That's
Y'all.
not Australian, mate.
Y'all want to come back
Australian.
to my ranch later? Some apple pie?
Excellent.
That's terrible, isn't it?
Let's move on.
That sounds.
I countered the idea of folks this one time when I was doing like a placement back when I thought I was going to be a teacher. There was this one teacher at the school where I did my placement who would always address his students as folks. I thought it was brilliant because it was a gender neutral way of addressing the whole class, and it sort of made him feel like he was addressing them on the same level. He wasn't talking down to them. He was just, okay folks, this is what we're going to do today in class, and the students were totally on board with it. So since then I've been impressed with the versatility of folks, but fam is still my number one.
You
But,
were right.
but
See, I
fam
tend to like
implies
friends
closeness.
or friend for the same reason, like, especially after playing Skyrim, and they say it in a really cool
Friend is
accent. Hey friend, what's up? But it often just comes off as like super patronizing in real life, so
And
I just
sworn to
Yeah.
carry your burdens.
maybe if I had a cool Nordic accent.
Or if you were taller. Like, maybe if you're 8 foot tall, Jesse. Or would that just come across as threatening then? Hello, friends.
Carry my burdens. I need you.
Well done. The printer
I mean, the other one is just hey all or everyone. I mean, this is more of an email heading now, but it's like hi all or hi everyone. That's also completely neutral.
To whom it may concern.
Yep, that's
I mean,
the generic formal one. I think I used
No.
hi admin folks in an email like a few weeks ago.
I am a
I'm
fan
just
of the
I
like
remember.
casual in formal situations thing, like deliberate rebellious casualness. As you may have noticed from my manner on the show.
peeps?
I mean, this is about as
I mean,
informal as it gets.
we keep
though.
it light. We try to keep it
Which
light,
is-
though.
We keep it light.
We keep it light.
Isn't that
Oh,
Topical.
dear.
isn't that kind of your manner on the show, Jesse, kind of stark in contrast to the fact that like you don't own shorts and like you're always wearing long sleeve shirts?
Well, yeah. You can dress elegantly and still appeal to the common
And still keep
man.
it light.
Yeah, still keep
Oh,
it light.
I'm not disputing that. It's just an interesting contrast that I'm observing, folks.
It's true, they are a bit at odds. But I mean, when your alternative is be a total, like, priss? That's the female word, I think. I don't know.
What?
But, yeah,
Like
you
dork.
completely up
Dork is a good
yourself,
word.
then...
Wank up.
Don't be a wanker, mate.
Yeah. Don't be a wanker, keep it light. Whoever lives by the truth isn't a wanker.
Dies by the
John
sword.
3:21. On that note, I've got to bail. I have no idea if we're still recording or what's going on.
I think we
We
were
still
supposed
are
to
at the
bail
moment.
20 minutes ago.
Gosh, okay.
Why are you
Yeah.
Hey, we got a good,
recording?
like, post-show talk about, the
It was actually a
Bible,
pretty good
and
chat.
then
Languages.
gender pronouns and languages.
Once though.
I got no idea how I'm going to
What
break
to
this
call
up.
someone
That is
who's a,
right.
who's a wanker?
Probably 2
Yeah.
mini episodes.
My goodness, you're going to use this, aren't you?
Well,
Oh,
why
yeah.
not? It was a reasonable
That's right.
discussion.
I mean, my packet loss fixed itself, so like it's great.
Nor I.
Wait, but yeah, I've got to go run up a big hill, so I'll catch you guys next week. Have a
Have
good one.
fun.
See ya.
Will do.
User disconnected from your channel.